Hello, this is Natasha and
The Fugitive. We're sorry for the couple-week break, but sanctions.
what is sanctions?
We had some medical issues, but we're going to try and do these more frequently.
Both of us.
Yeah, even if we have to do it from the hospitals. Major global news. Poland down suspected Russian drones in its airspace. Are they Russian? Are they Ukrainian? Or are they from outer space?
Are they American?
American drones.
Actually, the situation is very fishy, honestly speaking. I don't know. What do you think about it?
I remain open-minded. I'm not saying they're not Russian, but I am saying that so far, not even NATO has said they have concrete evidence. Even if you look at the NATO statements, NATO's like, they're probably Russian, but we can't prove it yet. And so what I'm saying is there's a lot of jamming going on, although that's a lot of drones. But they said during that day, it was like 800 and some drones were there. Yeah. So for a dozen of them to go into Poland, it's possible. But the other possibility is that it could be a false flag because it would be the perfect time to do it. I mean, look at Nord Stream. They're like, Russia, Russia, Russia. And then now we know it's Ukrainians, probably with the CIA backing. And if there was going to be a false flag attack, if they want to get NATO in, because Ukraine can't get NATO into this conflict, fully at least, they really want to drag NATO in. So if somebody wanted to drag NATO in, this would be the way to do it. And the way to do it would be get these drones, have them ready, wait for a huge attack like happened that day, and then send them during an attack, because then they wouldn't be able to trace them. They wouldn't be able to prove if they came from Russia because they can't track 800 drones to begin with. So throwing a dozen or so in there, and I'm not saying it was a false flag. I'm just saying this would be the prime opportunity to do a false flag if somebody wanted to do it. Actually,
it's not the first time when, third countries find drones in their territories. And I have a map here actually with lot of countries that found pieces of drones on their land before. But the question is why this particular, drone attack became so breaking news. Poland shut down, because it's first time when they actually shut down these drones. And I'm not going to fall into this conspiracy that it might be false flag, actually. I think Russia didn't deny really officially that it's not our drones. But the question still remains.
They're not my drones.
Our drones, I'm Russian. Okay, it's not my drones personally.
Well, remember there's a Ukrainian missile too that landed in Poland and actually hit a building.
Yeah.
And they're like, Russia. And then a couple of days later, like, it's Ukraine.
No, but this time, actually, if you're going to check all the specialists in this kind of, war, thematic, all of them agree that these are Russian drones, actually. Yeah, you will not find somebody who say that it's not. The question is...
there's plenty of places saying it's not, but I'm just saying, I'm not taking one side or the other, really. I know people are going to say I am. I'm not. I'm not saying they're not Russian. I'm just saying that there's possibilities here.
What's more important here, it's actually for me, not this discussion of whose drones is this, etc. For me, it's the reaction of NATO. That's what was shocking for me, actually, honestly speaking. They basically left Poland alone to deal with all of this.
Oh, no. Look at it. Italy had AWACS up. They had F-35s, they had F-16s. There were multiple countries that sent planes up in this response. It was the big NATO party. It was like, look, NATO can get together and we can shoot things down. But what really got me is the Polish president was like, this is the closest Poland has been to war since World War II. I'm like, do you not remember the Polish Revolution? I mean, when people were in the streets, when people overthrew the government in Poland in 1989 or something, and you're like, yeah, but this is bigger. I mean,
this is different. That's your citizens' revolt, but war is it's another thing.
I know, but still, even if this is a big provocation, they're overdoing this. Like, it's World War III. It's the constant overreaction.
What I mean is not at this moment. What's happened after? They called this Article 4 together, and they were thinking what to do right now, right?
Article 5-1.
Yeah. And nothing. Europe didn't come into something. They just came with these stupid sanctions. Let's sanction Russian citizens. Stop issuing touristic visas to them.
Oh yeah, they're going to issue the 19th. They said that this 19th sanctions package will finally crush the Russian economy. This is the one that'll do it.
Da.
What do you think?
Of course. Definitely.
Yeah, this is the one.
I believe in von der Leyen and the Kaja Kallas. They are very smart women, definitely.
Oh, Kaja Kallas. That woman. I mean, come on, Europe, listen, Europe, please. I love you, Europe, but you need some better leaders. Okay. And I know it's coming. When the elections come, Macron is gone, but he's got till 2027. Macron, Starmer, the French government's falling apart.
Well, it's
And there are seriously
problems really to solve,
France,
not ours.
Meadows, Starmer, those guys are all gone when the elections come.
What I'm worried if this theory that Putin is testing actually the protection of how Polish air defense is working, if it's true, that's really worrying for me, because that means he has actually some plans for some other countries. If this is true, I'm not saying that it is.
Even if he is using it to test, it doesn't necessarily mean it's for plans. He could just be trying to piss him off. Which either way is not a good thing. I'm just saying
we don't know their motives.
I'm not saying it's a prelude to any sort of, because, Caius is already convinced that there's, there are already like invisible planes floating around Estonia or some stuff, right?
They do. But you see, when this attack happened, actually, Belarus warned Lithuania and they warned Poland, and Lithuania were so much calm. They didn't say anything.
Oh yeah, Lithuania and Latvia, they're quite calm, but Estonia, oh my gosh, they're like a chihuahua on steroids.
No, you have a personal story with Estonia, so
I do, but they were crazy. They were crazy before.
All of them.
I am a national security threat to the Estonian government. For some reason, for my TikToks. Have they seen your TikToks? Maybe for national security threat to Estonia too.
Now I will be, because we're recording this video and definitely they're watching. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm not going to be able to enter Europe any soon. What do we have next?
What do we have next? Charlie Kirk. Yeah, I mean, everybody's heard this, but Charlie Kirk was basically assassinated, and they still don't have the perpetrator. They have his long rifle. They say he's of college age. This is in Utah. Charlie Kirk was speaking.
Yeah.
And he is a very provocative person. And I don't agree with a lot of the things he says, but nobody should be executed for this, period. I don't care what your political views are. For someone to come up and just assassinate him like this, it is just despicable.
Yeah, I think it's also related with, this radicalization, I think, of American politics. That's what's coming. It's actually related so much with this previous case of this Ukrainian girl that was stopped.
Yeah.
This violence is just becoming more and more in the U.S. It's so much visible.
And that kind of leads into discussion. I don't want to get too far off topic, but you're right. Statistically, violent crime in the U.S. is down, but something has changed.
Yeah.
And I tried looking into statistics, but the problem is that the U.S., first of all, several times has changed how they report statistics.
We didn't say that. We had a debate a few days ago. Mm-hmm. Is it really becoming more dangerous to live in the U.S. or no, comparing to Russia also, because we're discussing that Russia is safer than the U.S. right now. And I made a poll in my own TikTok. Our followers basically came and they started to share. And actually, I've got results. I think 73, I think, % of people, at least it's not really reliable so much because we have, certain type of followers, say that it's safe for them, which is quite interesting. Many people came and said it's not safe.
I know.
If you read comments, many people came and say it's less safe nowadays. But also numbers, show that it's becoming. You start to have Americans start to have less crimes than they used to be. Russia shows the same results, by the way, too. It's like a world phenomenon in general of Western world, mostly, the reduction of violent crimes.
I also found, for instance, in the U.S. that because the FBI changed, and this is a whole scandal, so the FBI changed the reporting system and they made it incompatible. So many even major cities in the U.S. are not reporting to the FBI anymore because their system can't report to the new system, and they were never given funding to update. This is so American that we're going to change the reporting system, and we're going to mandate that you spend money, but we're not going to give you money to do it. So many cities never updated the system, and they're completely not reporting into their crime statistics anymore.
But still, you report violent crime. I mean, these problems were always there. I checked it, really, it was always there. But we can doubt numbers that are there, but we can see the trend, and the trend is reducing, actually.
Yeah. Well, we also discussed, too, that in the 2000s, there were several reports, and this wouldn't count for everything. But in the 2000s, the trauma response in the U.S. became so much better that a lot of people who were being attacked aren't dying. And now, so the people who were attacking them are now being charged with lesser crimes that aren't always violent because the person didn't die.
Oh, that's another topic. But guys, if you agree with me and share in comments if you agree.
No, I agree. I agree. The statistics, it's gone on overall, but something has definitely changed because even like the city where I grew up in, well, I grew up in a small town and then I moved to the city nearby. And the neighborhood I lived in, the crimes tended to be, we knew there was like a couple areas of the city, you don't want to go at night. And during the day, you may or may not want to go, but now it's like, the crimes are happening all over the city. I mean, there was a shooting at least once a month within 1 or 2 blocks of where I lived. And before it was like, there were not shootings because I mean, we would have known. First of all, my aunt who lived with us, her hobby was to listen to the police scanner. So we knew everything in the city.
She's like,
so I heard, yes. And she would talk to the neighbors about, did you hear who got shot? And, but it was like, it seems to me that one thing potentially in the US is that like in Chicago used to have, and I know that ghetto maybe is not the politically correct word, but they had ghettos, okay? And there were areas where the crime was just so bad. And it seems to me that possibly in the US that they may be able to reduce crime in those really high crime areas, but that crime has spread out more in the cities. Now, rural areas in the US are still very safe. Absolutely. You get to smaller towns, rural areas,
well, people
those
say
are still very safe. But in the cities, it seems like the crime has spread. It might be down overall, but it seems like it's spread out more within the cities instead of being in certain
Anyway, that would be actually an interesting study for some people, like sociologists, to make like,
I tried investigating it, but the numbers are just so it's very complicated.
And people say very different things. Like in some areas, it's really safe. Or for the same city, like there's New Yorker comes to me and say, my area is very unsafe. Another New Yorker comes and say, my area is very safe.
Well, like Queens in the 80s used to be unsafe. You see like Coming to America, they get off here like Queens, but you can see it like not, but now Queens
it's the same
but
here.
Now Queens is much nicer.
It's the same here. There are areas where you walk right now in the Nevsky Prospect, like Maratha was a very dangerous street. Very dangerous street. Right now, you can walk there at like 3 a.m. and nothing is going to happen with you. It's a world trend for real. Like people are changing, they're moving, and neighborhoods are changing.
The problem is too, when you bring this up in the U.S. is they want to radicalize it. The left and the right, they want to blame it on immigrants or this or that. And so it's like, a lot of Americans don't actually want to discuss the root of this issue. They want to politicize it and use it for their advantage. That's happened both with this Ukrainian girl who was stabbed. And what I found shocking about this was she was stabbed and people are just like, there's blood dripping around and people are just like going their way to work. Like nobody, even after the dude left, like nobody, they didn't check on the girl. They did, but it was after a while.
After a while, it's actually, I was shocked too.
But look at how long the time frame was till it happened. It was like,
it's actually a psychological phenomenon, it's human behavior. I was also shocked that nobody came to check her, but then I remember there is actually a phenomenon like that in big cities. It happens all over the world. When you find a person lying on the ground and you see nobody's going to check the person, it's a certain psychological phenomenon.
But this wasn't just they found somebody lying on the ground. They saw her get stabbed.
They didn't see in the beginning. It wasn't obvious what's happened there. And then when there's shocking situation, you don't know how you're going to behave, really. Like for me, when there's shocking situation, I'm running or I'm attacking.
I don't know.
Some people are just falling into shock and they can't move.
I know some people are, but I used to be a firefighter and first responder, so I'm pretty sure
they behave very differently. So here, it's a complicated, I think, topic. Why?
How do you think if something, God forbid, something like this happened in St. Petersburg, do you think the reaction would be the same, or
different reactions? Seriously, I saw different reactions. I saw like grandmother falling and nobody's going to help her. I saw that person is dying, nobody's going to help her because of this phenomenon. It's a human phenomenon. It's like all over the world, let's say. It's not like something connected to the nation, how they behave, really. It's less in this like Eastern societies when everyone is watching everywhere. It's different, because of cultural, let's say, phenomena they have. But in our societies, we're so much atomized and it's quite normal.
So, I agree that definitely the situations like that, but I still think there is a bit different in culture. I'm not saying it'd be any different in that case here, but there's a definite difference in culture in Russia versus America as far as public, maybe not in that situation.
I don't think so.
But no, the way people act there is in Russia, people have more of a public sense. And again, I'm not saying in that particular case, but I'm saying in general, the way people act in public here is different than people act in America, because here and in Eastern Europe in general, there's more of a public sense of some sort of responsibility when it comes to parks and things. And in that situation, I can't say it's any different, but there is a difference in a public sense.
I disagree. I've seen here very different situations in my life. So, and I studied also psychology. So yeah, you never know how crowd is going to behave.
I'm talking kind of separate from that.
Also, Russia is huge. So if it's going to happen somewhere in Dagestan and Chechnya, it will be a completely different situation.
Yeah.
But if it happens in Moscow, people will just pass by. Mostly. And there are so many cases like this, actually. And opposite in the US. But the point is, that American society is definitely radicalizing. And it's very visible, actually.
And so you're saying we don't have that here? The radicalization of...
We can't have it. We don't have really political dialogue here to be able to have this radicalization. In the US, you have so atomized society.
I don't have.
Okay, Americans have so polarized society right now, and we saw this in this case of this girl when everyone started to, I went to X, and there's like lots of posts of racism.
X is a sewer.
Insane racism. Everyone's like, I couldn't believe I read all of this crap, and the same stuff happened after they shot politician, this Kirk. The same thing.
He's not a politician, but
he's speaker? I don't know how.
Yeah, he's political personality, but he's not a politician.
Political speaker, let's say, right? And it's the same. Like, so we became radicalized right now, and everyone started to blame leftists that they are like so aggressive. They are like murderers and all this kind of stuff. I couldn't believe I'm reading all of this.
Yeah, it's really...
And that's not happening in Russia, yes, because we don't have really political life here.
It's different. I mean, people do discuss among themselves, but you're right, it's not a...
Yeah, we can't unite.
The public dialogue is not the same.
There's not... In fact, we are... Right now, because of what's happening in the world, we are more united. Because we have to be united. Otherwise, we will not survive. And right now, you see like liberals actually are uniting with their relatives who are so much Z people, as they call them, right? And they build these ties because... there's nobody left. Like,
one of my videos, remember, that got viral, because some of my videos get picked up and go viral on the Russian Telegram groups. And one of them got picked up, and the guy's like, oh, he's like a Z-bot. And I'm like, I got in the group, I'm like, I am not. I said, what about that video? He's like, your name. I'm like, my middle initial is Z. And just because, because of that, the guy thought that I was like some Z-bot. I'm like...
Yeah, because in Russia, people put Z, it's clear that you're a Z person. You get to replace this. Or leave it to troll people. Like, I leave Russian flag close to my name. Every time they come and they think like I'm a Putinist or something. And I never removed it. I put it in 2021 and I've never...
But you'd have to be a Putinista.
That.
Not a Putinist.
We wouldn't use feminitives here.
When you apply it to Putin, it's always Putinist, right? Not Putinista. Nepal is basically on fire. I mean, they attacked... You've seen the videos, the government house is like burning down. There are like, I don't know, tens of thousands people in the streets. I mean, they basically banned like 26 social networks for not having a Nepal registration. And Gen Z was like, no. And so I don't know exactly, but I know the prime minister has like been taken down and replaced. And I don't know. What do you think would happen if they banned 26 social networks here?
They did that.
People they didn't ban 26 of them, but yeah, they did some.
They did that in Belarus, by the way. They canceled internet for them for 3 days, and I was there when there were protests. Yeah, of course, they didn't burn anything. Belarusians are very nice people, very polite.
Oh, yeah. But if they banned I think people just use VPNs.
No, there was no internet.
No, here. That's everything I was saying.
Here, yeah.
They just like, VPN.
Here, yeah, but when you cancel the whole internet, you can't access internet at all.
I don't know what Nepal did. I think they canceled the whole internet.
Switched off internet.
Oh, did they?
If I remember right, yeah.
Oh, okay,
but they say it's social media only ban. But the situation, from what I figured, is more complicated. I mean, it was like they had lots of corruption scandals over there. So.
Yeah.
But okay, like most of Asian countries have this. But the direction, if you look at the map, Nepal, situation of Nepal is very interesting. It's like exactly between China and India. And it makes you wonder really what's going on there.
Yeah, no, it wasn't just about the social media, just like was it Tunis when that happened or wherever, when they started the revolution in North Africa. It was like, it was the final stick, the final straw that kind of broke. It wasn't only that. It wasn't about corruption and everything, but they were like, social media, like corruption, that sucks. Social media and corruption? Okay, time to burn things.
Yeah, in Tunisia, Arab Spring basically started from social media too. It started from Twitter. I was there in Egypt in 2011.
You started it.
Of course. Every time when I travel to countries, they start to have protests, or revolutions.
You want to visit Estonia?
The white people, they're going to ban me. I'm not going to go.
Listen, Estonians, I love you as a people, but your government, please get a new one.
And let me enter. Visit your beautiful country.
Support Kayas. Okay.
Another news we had, this Israel strike on Qatar.
Oh my gosh.
Which...
So Russian drones in Poland, bad. Israel missiles in Qatar, good. Is that the message?
But Americans say something like they didn't like it.
Oh, they didn't like it, but are they going to do anything?
No. Why would they?
Because it's Netanyahu.
Because they didn't kill civilians. They killed the terrorists.
Okay.
So it's a different story.
But it's still national sovereignty of another country. Why is it okay? Why is it bad if Russia goes into Ukraine? Which I'm not saying one way or the other, but I'm saying, why is that bad? But Israel can go into Doha and like drop a missile like, hey, that's cool.
Because they don't target civilians, they say.
Have you looked at Gaza?
They all are terrorists, according to them.
The babies too?
Well, it's...
complicated.
Da.
It's amazing how the lens is put onto things.
Actually, what's worrying me in this situation is this rise of anti-Semitism that's happening with all of this also. Like, there's Israel and their government, and there are Jewish people who have nothing to do with this. And then...
just like there are Russians that have nothing to do with this, and,
Yeah, like, we have so much in common right now, I guess. The whole world hates us and Jewish.
I just want to be clear. Listen, I'm not anti-Israel, okay? But I am definitely anti-Netanyahu.
I mean, I am anti-Israel. I don't like what they do, but I am not anti-Semite, definitely.
Oh, not that. No, I mean, but
so that's a difference.
But I am definitely anti-Netanyahu.
Yeah, right wing. When right wing comes to power, that's what we have also. But it's also, I think, it's so much, brings us back to the beginning of all of this. It's Russia who basically opened this Pandora box, that after our situation, let's call it, everyone started to feel free to do whatever.
Do you think Iraq and Afghanistan had anything to do with that?
No, I don't think so, really.
The Americans went into Iraq on no evidence, on evidence that they knew was manufactured at the time. And I've said that whether or not you agree with Russia going into Ukraine, at least Russia, you may not agree with the reason, but Russia has some logic behind it. But going into Iraq, there was zero. The Americans and the Brits knew it was BS. They knew there was no WMD.
If we're going to go right now to this topic, we'll not end today our news.
I'm just saying that I don't think Russia opened this Pandora box. I think it was the Americans when they went into Iraq. I mean, the Pandora box was open before, but that was really the one that blew it open. And a lot of scholars have said that Putin looked at that and he's like, well, if the Americans can do that,
let me build a strong country and I'm going to invade. And
Americans, their response is always like, but Russia invades neighbors, America doesn't. I'm like, oh, so America, that's the qualifying thing. Americans always use the word neighboring countries because Americans invade countries around the world. But because they don't invade Canada or Mexico, somehow, I don't know.
Yeah, they also don't grab territories. That's the difference.
They still killed 1 million citizens and 1 million civilians in Iraq.
That's true. But I think the newest
These are qualifiers to me that don't matter. Whether or not you keep the territory, you still invaded and killed 1 million people.
So your point that this Pandora box, which is basically breaking the international law, international order, happened not in 2022, but 10 to 20 years before that.
2002, yeah.
And before that, in the 90s, when NATO bombed Yugoslavia.
Oh, those were small. Those were definitely, those were smaller things and definitely contributed to it. But the one that blew it open was Iraq.
Or maybe there was no normal world order.
It's always been. New World Order is just whatever the Americans like. But it had been coming. But 2002, the Iraq invasion blew the box open. I mean, it was already open, but that just was like, hey, party in Pandora's box.
Anyway, what's visible for me, it's our international order is definitely collapsing right now. And
it's collapsing. I think it's reorganizing.
I think it's collapsing because I don't see, in order to be reorganized, there should be some steps done, and there's no steps. Like there's no new NATO organization, there's no new UN, because before UN there was League of Nations, remember? And that was the crisis. Then world wars happened, and then UN appeared as a result. And right now we see the collapse of UN. So it's not reorganization, it's the erosion of institutions.
The UN has always been kind of
it works for a while. For a while it worked. We have regional news. So from the 1st of September, we've got a huge package of new laws in Russia implemented. Did you see that?
Yep. Advertising or promoting VPNs is banned. Fines up to 500,000 rubles. So the 500,000, I believe, is for commercial entities. And it's much lower for people. I think for people, it's like 5,000 or something.
Still, it means we can use VPN.
Yeah, we can use it.
We can't advertise. That's the difference.
Can advertise. But actually, I have seen, what I've started to see people graffiti VPN Telegram bots around the city. So they can't advertise. If you come to Russian cities, compared to Western cities, there's very little graffiti.
Yeah.
I mean, they take care of stuff. You very little, but I have started to see some graffiti of VPN and, a Telegram address or something.
Before it was, for what? Right now it's for VPN.
Yeah.
Anyway, so.
Advertising on blocked social media, which means you can still use Instagram, but you can't advertise as a Russian company. You can't advertise on Instagram.
You can't buy advertisement slots from bloggers, basically. Yeah. That actually basically killing bloggers' life, because the most of money that they get from advertisements. We'll see.
What about YouTube and be careful?
Nobody's there. You know this. Most of people are Instagram earning and YouTube still. Anyway, we will see how it will turn out.
But YouTube's not a blocked social media right now.
It's slowed down.
But it's not blocked. You can still advertise that it's not blocked.
Isn't it? Google?
No. Yeah, Instagram is Instagram's hard because it's Meta, and TikTok's not blocked either. TikTok blocked Russia
by themselves.
Around. So from Russia, you're still allowed to advertise on TikTok because it's not a blocked platform.
Yeah, but they block by themselves. It's not Russia who blocked TikTok.
But under this law, TikTok doesn't fall.
Yeah.
It's Instagram.
Yeah, it's Instagram and Meta, Facebook,
Instagram and Facebook. It's Mark Zuckerberg, which I don't know. If we want to sanction anybody, Mark Zuckerberg should be one of them.
But still, come on. No, so many people use Instagram.
I know. I'm just saying I don't like Mark Zuckerberg. It's like Caius and Mark Zuckerberg.
Who likes him? Come on. These are the most evil people over there. Searching for extremist materials online is prohibited. Fine up to 5,000 rubles. Whatever, I don't know still. We discussed this. I don't know what does mean actually extremist materials, but just be careful, guys.
Estonian topics. Don't search Estonia.
Of course. Kaya Kallas. No, it's silly. This topic's too broad. It's not clear what they mean here. Foreign agents are now fully banned from educational activity, like they can't teach anymore, which was expected. Every new smartphone must come pre-installed with Rustore and the Messenger Max. I'm wondering how they're going to do this on iPhone.
They're coming to an agreement with Apple on this. They've been negotiating with Apple for a long time. And this is a big problem in Russia and Europe has a problem with Apple too. Europe is already forcing Apple to allow side loading, like on Android. And the big problem is that a lot of Russian apps have been blocked by the West, so they're been removed by the Google Store. And so we have Rustore here for Android, but because Apple can't sideload, you can't get Rustore. So it's even affecting banking. If you want to do banking in Russia and you have an Apple phone, enjoy running a web browser on your phone.
No, I have actually apps. There are ways how we install them. I'm not going to share this.
It's very ugly on Apple. So Russia's been negotiating with Apple for a while to allow alternative app stores, and so has Europe.
So let's see. They're introducing this new Messenger Max that will be completely controlled by the state, but people don't want to install them. This Max is basically a copy of Telegram, actually, but under government control.
Yeah, well, there's two sides of this. There are security people analyzing it so far, and so far, it doesn't have any more permissions than other messengers on your phone.
That's dope.
No, there are technical people who are analyzing. You can take the technical code and you can look at the permissions of it. And so far, it doesn't have any more permissions than any of the messengers or phone. The goal of it, I'm not saying there are some Legos, but the goal of this is like China. They want a unified messenger like we've got Splugi. They want to be able to send a message and know that it's getting to the person. And they want to be able to prevent scammers, although scammers have already gotten to max right away.
I understand their reasoning.
So there is a good and a bad to max. And really it's kind of a wait and see. I know there are doomsayers to say it's just, it's a FESMA messenger or whatever, but there are two sides to this one.
Yeah, I understand the reasoning, but in Russia, people don't trust their state, just as Americans don't trust their state too. And when the state comes to you and says, you must install this app, all Russians are like, oh, no way I'm installing this stuff, even if it's cool stuff, which is...
But they install Splugi.
You have to, because there's no other way, of course.
You can get two devices.
Yeah.
Android has a thing called secure folders. And it runs your apps in a sandbox. They don't have access to other things. Anyways, there's a good and bad side of the Maxer. I understand the goals behind it, but I also understand the concerns.
That's, by the way, connecting to this, passing SIM cards or accounts to someone else is forbidden. Fine up to 200 rubles is the same.
200,000.
200,000, yeah, not 200, sorry. 200,000 rubles. When buying a SIM, you will be filmed, recording, stored for a month. If your mobile account is blocked, you will also lose mobile service. So this is the same thing. They want to prevent the scamming because we have so much, actually, people call you to your phone and tell you this is, I don't know,
that's
police,
part of it. And also it's because a lot of Ukrainian drones are using SIMs. And also with Crocus. There are multiple reasons behind this.
Yeah, that's what they try to control, I think, here. Banks and money. Banks can block cash withdrawals if they suspect fraud. They can now freeze your account without the court decision.
They can only freeze it for a temporary period.
Yeah, I saw that too. And then a certain amount of money, I think.
Yeah, and they can freeze cash withdrawals, but purchases. So this is one of those things, it's kind of a wait and see because there are people who are getting scammed. I understand the concerns, but I also understand the goals, and you kind of have to see on this one.
But honestly speaking, it's a nightmare. Like I've got
this is not the same as the P2P blocks. This is different.
Some of my friends got account blocks just for withdrawing like 20,000 rubles, which is nothing.
Yeah,
nothing. No, and it's going a little bit out of control. But let's see how it's gonna go. So just guys who live here, be cautious. Let's say.
Yeah. The good news is banks here are super responsive. You can get on a chat right away. And at least with T-Bank, they're there 24 hours a day.
Yeah, you can, but then how they're going to solve it, that's questionable. Like for me, it took 2 days for T-Bank.
That's a different block. The P2P is a different issue than this.
It's not really related to P2P. It's related to, anyway, it's a complicated topic for a video, I think, separated video for that, like banking system in Russia and how it works and how they try to avoid money laundering and scamming here.
We should do a video just on that. Most Americans would be surprised at how efficient the banking system is here.
Maybe one day. It's complicated, really. Cars, new cars duties up to 300%. This is crazy. This is actually crazy.
Yeah, I don't know about this one. So is it on all cars or foreign cars or?
Duties, it's for, I guess, cars that are imported, I guess.
Cars. Yeah, they're trying to, you want a Lada? So Ladas have gotten a lot better.
Lada is full of imported parts. What are you talking about?
But it's still classified as a Russian car because it has to do with how many parts are produced and so forth.
Films with non-traditional values won't get distribution licenses. Online platforms might block them. I think we talked about it. Not must block them. I think we talked about it last time.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what to say.
I think, we talked about this. Exotic pets at home are banned right now. Right now, you can't keep a bear at home here.
Does this apply to like people in the city? If you live in the country, you can still have a bear or
in your yard.
Because there were people having things in their flats that should not be in their apartments. Right?
Yeah, they're crazy people here.
You could have a lot of animals that just were not city animals, but I don't know if this applies to like if you live out in the country and you have a bear. But if you live in the city, you shouldn't have a bear. I'm sorry.
They keep like weird stuff here, like, this cheetahs or something like that. That's crazy in the flats. Yeah.
My dad had an alligator.
Господи. Is he Australian?
No, this is true. It wasn't a alligator. So my dad always told me this story, and I'm like, so my dad. So one day I searched up and I found the newspaper articles. He had an alligator and he kept it in the kitchen in a barrel. And apparently it wasn't a huge alligator, but there's a fire one day and he called the fireman ran to tell the alligator and they like ran back out. And I found the newspaper article. It's true.
Jesus. Did he send him to some pet, zoo or something?
I don't know. This is like right before I was born, so I don't know. I can call my mom and ask her about the alligator.
Господи, боже мой. Ну что, у нас тут restriction about Telegram and WhatsApp calls.
Oh, yeah. Well, that kind of sucks. So they blocked Telegram and WhatsApp voice calls only.
Voice, yeah.
Video calls too?
Yeah.
Okay. We could still use it for other things, but VPN again solves it. So
yeah, both sides need to have VPN. That's the problem, and it's a huge.
Well, if you're in Russia, both sides have.
Yeah. If you're in Russia, and it's a huge problem actually for many people. They try, I think, to push people into Max, but the problem is if you have relatives abroad, they can't install Max.
Yeah,
so you can't call each other.
But there already is somebody in the Duma already introduced a bill to like remove this. So even within the government, there is dissent on this one.
They asked, but they didn't really introduce. That's questionable.
I hear you, but my point is there is some dissent on this one.
I doubt they're going to change.
Buying lighters and gas canisters now requires a passport.
Yeah. I didn't experience this really. They never asked me for a passport, but maybe I look old, so that's why. I should ask my daughter to go and buy a lighter and see how it's going to be.
And the purpose behind this is, they're trying to get rid of vaping. Vaping is a huge thing here.
It's new law. Yeah, they want to forbid it since, I forgot the date, soon.
Yeah, they want to ban vaping.
Yeah.
But the problem is that vaping may just cause more people to smoke.
I don't know. It's probably just going to go into dark market and that's all. Migrant children, we talked about this. In Russia right now, in order to be enrolled into school, you need to speak Russian language.
Yeah. And that's a new thing.
That's a new thing, and it's a huge problem.
And actually, not only speak the Russian language, they have to pass a proficiency exam.
And it's quite complicated.
Now, what they said, again, this is what they said, is they said if they don't pass the exam, they will put them into an accelerated Russian course. Whether that's actually happening, I don't know.
It's not. There is charity here in St. Petersburg that called Дети. Actually, that's what they do. They try to help these migrants because they're from different countries. They're like Afghani children, These refugees, people who came here, they can't go to school right now because they don't speak Russian enough to pass this test. And the problem is you need also, they don't have teachers or, manuals how to prepare kids for these exams. And this charity, wrote about it, like how to prepare them. Like we have teachers who volunteer to help these kids to be enrolled in Russian school eventually, to pass this exam, to do it for free even, but we don't know, there's no manuals even for that. And that's a huge problem right now. So we have a lot of kids who couldn't be admitted for school this year.
I think it's not here, but I think I might be wrong. It's like I sent you a link. I think 87% of the kids
something like
who this year had to take the test didn't pass it.
Yeah, it's an insane number actually. Percentage,
Whereas like in Canada, if they want you to learn French immersion, they just talk you in, and for like the first 6 months, you let the kids end up learning. And
you see, it's all over the world. Like my friend right now is in Australia. Her kid doesn't speak English, so she sent him to this preschool, and she has 1 year of learning English only.
That's what they do to foreigners here who come to college and study in Russian.
Yes, but you pay for it. It's not for free.
We have colleges that are in English here too, but if you come and study in Russian, your first year, you're basically having...
Some take even more years. I know people who took 2 years of Russian for medical field or something like that. But that's the problem. Like there's no system right now. They made this law, but they didn't prepare the system how to integrate these kids, how to prepare them for this first year. That's the problem. But migrants are still here. They're not going to leave.
Well, a lot of Americans think we don't have any migrants. Everybody speaks Russian here. I've tried to explain to them we have a ton of migrants.
We have a huge problem. We have
Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, Tajikistan, all the former Soviet and Soviet adjacent countries. To them, Russia is a huge economic opportunity. And they're like, I don't mean this in a derogatory way, but to Americans, these are like Mexicans. They come here for economic opportunity. And people are like, why would anybody go to Russia? Because those countries, the economy in Russia is doing pretty good, especially compared to those countries.
Yeah, compared to those countries. So they come to earn here, actually.
Yeah. And even, North Africa and the Middle East and stuff too.
They
To a lesser degree, but
way lesser degree. They mostly go to Europe, of course, because they can earn
because
there
people
more.
from Stan can come here much easier. They have that's relaxed visa policy. Too.
Yeah, of course.
A lot of them can show up and stay 90 days and they just stay over their 90 days.
Yes. And a lot of illegal immigration.
So if you go to construction sites here, a lot of them will be illegal. And that's why they're constantly raiding the construction sites.
Yeah, that's why there's even slavery here. These people sometimes fall into slavery and there are organizations that actually help them. That's crazy. So pharmacists to be fined up to 200,000 rubles if they don't offer generics anymore.
I saw that, but I didn't check into the details. Was it the pharmacist has to say, do you want a generic, or is it they have to stock the generics?
I don't know. Really, I didn't see that in news too.
It seems to be, I don't know the details about it, but it seems to be a well-intended law, but I don't know the details.
Yeah, me too. I need to check that because they usually offer you the most expensive stuff when you go to pharmacy. And I just know that there are generics. That's why I come directly asking for certain, chemical elements.
I usually ask, so when I go to the pharmacy, I usually ask, I will ask them, show me all the variants. And because my Russian is, they will just write down, they're like, this one, and then I'm like, that one. Or I'll tell them in Russian what the cheapest one. So, they're very friendly about it, but yeah, I do ask.
It depends on the pharmacy. There are some that are aligned with government, and those usually, they offer immediately, say, do you know that there's another one that costs way cheaper than what you want? But it's rare. Let's see how they're going to work.
So odd, quirky headlines. Oh, this is one I sent you. St. Petersburg teens beat Lenin lookalike so there's a guy that it's his thing. He dresses up like Lenin and he just walks around. He's Lenin, right? And some teenagers, I don't know what they were doing, but they beat him up. And then first they mocked him, they attacked him. They said it was a revenge for the revolution. But then they went and asked this guy, what happened? He's like, I don't remember getting beat up.
That's very split.
And then somehow he made up with these teenagers and they were like,
sorry, man.
They were like, sorry, we beat you up, man. It was like, so I don't know.
See, very intelligent city of revolutions.
Yeah. So that was the odd. A beer lovers party won't partake in 2026 elections.
What a loss.
Who says we don't have opposition parties here?
You see, that's why they even didn't register them. They didn't even allow these beer lovers to be registered for elections. So, but they're not upset. They're not upset.
Is it that they didn't allow them? It says the party decided to postpone its new founding Congress 2025-2026. Its secretary, Konstantin Kalichev, told the Novosti, which is a news outlet, this year's party will not be able to run. But is it because they postponed or the government told them they couldn't? Kalichev is confident by 2026, the socio-political situation, including due to the special provision, may change and the chances to negotiate will increase. We are not going to initiate the conversation ourselves. We expect that by then people will get used to us. After the Congress, perhaps even enter dialogue about the place and the role of beer lovers party in the party system. So I don't think the government stopped them. I think they just don't have all their paperwork in order yet.
I don't even know. Should we cry or laugh here? You found this pirate paddle boarding race in Vyborg. So the pirates apparently are in Russia too.
Yeah, they had a stand-up festival. Pirate Harbor kicked off. Captains, ventilators, sea monsters, every costume, 3,000 people from 95 cities and 4 countries. What are the 4 countries? Taiwan, Iran, Albania, and Cyprus.
Cyprus.
Yeah. The route is about 5 kilometers. Participants had to finish by 2:30. So I think they should get together the beer party.
Eventually.
Yeah. So Russian student charged with Nazi crime for bubble tea TikTok about Leningrad siege. I'm going to let you take this one.
Yeah, you didn't understand this. Yeah, your message is saying
I was just kind of like, I was thinking there's got to be something bigger to this. I was like, I didn't get this.
Yeah, there's a thing here, actually. You can't really discuss not discuss, but make fun or even ask questions regarding World War II. There is one line of it. And if you ask or make fun of, these tragic events, then you will end up in jail. Unfortunately, that's our reality. this oppositionist channel Dorst, they used to be basically, they lost their broadcasting because of this, because they had a live show when one historian just asked, what if we gave away Leningrad to Germany?
Yeah.
What would happen? And only because of this question, you can't even raise this question.
Not defending this, but just for comparison, Germany is pretty strict about things about World War II too. If you, again, deny the Holocaust, you show a Nazi symbol, there's a lot of things in Germany you can get in trouble with regarding World War II as well.
That's our reality, and unfortunately, there's no way for reflection for now, at least.
Yeah.
It's he asked there in the video, like, how he couldn't imagine how they lived in besieged Leningrad without bubble tea. That was basically his.
Yeah, and again, not going more there, but just to explain to people, the siege of Leningrad was, most Westerners have no idea. People were starving to death here. The city was under siege. There wasn't any food. It was really horrific. It was, in many ways, the life of people here was in some ways similar to a concentration camp.
Worse. It's the most disastrous siege in the humankind history. My grandparents survived.
Westerners have no clue that this even happened.
Yeah, they don't even know how it was. But still, for me, like, I'm a granddaughter of basically,
I know. I'm just trying to give context to people who don't even know the history.
The topic is still super sensitive for people who live here. So, if you're in Russia, you need to be careful talking about World War II, definitely.
Yeah, it's akin to saying the wrong thing about the Holocaust.
Yeah.
It really is that. It was bad. It was bad. And if you're a Western, you're not familiar with it, Google Siege of Leningrad and really go down a rabbit hole. It's a history you're not in the West. Okay, so we're on to hidden gems. Russia announces a cancer vaccine. Is cancer cured?
Breaking news. Russia developed cancer vaccine. Of course it didn't. I mean, many countries develop cancer vaccines, actually. It's not like cancer vaccine, actually. It's not even vaccine. I don't know why it's called vaccine. People understand like it's something preventable. It's not preventable. They basically created some kind of treatment for certain types of cancer. So if you get sick with it, they just inject, and your body figures out that this is not normal, and immunity system must fight it. That's basically the mechanism of it. And they didn't pass human trials yet. People are hiring so much. Russia doesn't have
So it's not a vaccine, but is it something at least hopeful or revolutionary or anything behind this? Or is it all hype?
It showed great results. Apparently they tested in the lab. We didn't know on what exactly, but they tested it. It showed great results, like this vaccine.
So there's potentially something here.
Yeah, I hope, but it's too early to say. Yeah, that's what I read scientists, I read oncologists, and they say, why are you shouting so much? It's not a time yet. They are right now just passing testing, how's it called? Testing phase. So they need to employ people firstly, get people to test on them, on humans. They're going to test on humans. And then after years, we will get the cure. And yes, it's going to be free for people. Like all vaccines here are free for people. But the point is, it depends. Firstly, we need to see if it's going to work.
Navalny warns EU against tourist visa bans for Russians. When I first read this, I don't know why, I read Netanyahu and I'm like, okay.
Navalny, Yulia Navalny.
Who is the wife of former...
Navalny, yeah. And it caused like a huge backlash on Twitter. A lot of Ukrainians came and again started to shout like, why are you protecting Russians? Because it's usual people. Because this is what I was talking about last time. Russian opposition must fight for Russians, not for Ukrainians. Ukrainians have their own politicians. Russian opposition might fight for their own people who run away from this situation in the country, or people who live there abroad. So I think she's doing right.
Yeah, I think part of the problem here is that there's this Russophobia going on. It's like, sanction everything Russian. Sanction the borscht, sanction the beets, sanction the potato.
I mean, Russian, they will come and
it's Ukrainian, yeah, I know.
It's not Ukrainian, really. It's Slavic.
Sanction the Sala, sanction, but the point is, sanctioning Russian citizens isn't doing anything but actually just making everything worse. If you want to sanction the government, fine, but I mean, again, and I go back to the Iraq thing. The Americans killed 1 million Iraqi civilians, and not a single sanction or politician was held accountable, and they even freaking reelected the dude. But here, they're sanctioning everything related to Russia, citizens, everything, and it's just it's completely counterproductive.
It's just, it will not work. I mean, okay, sanction forbid them enter European Union, and what? Rich bastards are still gonna travel because they have Israeli passports, they have Estonian passports, they have Baltic countries.
Estonian passports?
Yeah, they have. Like, there are some people rich who have double passports and they still are gonna travel. But usual people, like me, we will not be able. And even if if I will want to travel to my boyfriend in the US, I will not be able because I have to first enter Europe to go to your embassy, American one.
Not my embassy.
Anymore, not your embassy anymore. The American embassy, I need to go to Europe first. So I need to get visa to Europe firstly. And right now they're going to forbid this. I will not be able even to go to the US. Like, I don't know how it's going to.
Well, like today I was at a government department. I had to go through this interview and they're like, have you been to the American embassy recently? I'm like, let's review my story again.
Which American embassy? Like, it's
the one in Moscow. It's like, you know, my situation. I can't go there. I'll be arrested. I'm just like, let's review the story again. Okay.
Господи. Yeah, American embassy doesn't work. I mean, it's still in Russia, but they don't service people here. Not Russians, neither Americans. So for us, if I want to go to the US, I have to go to Europe.
There are very essential services. They are renewing passports, and there's some very essential services they're doing for Americans, but only very limited.
I didn't know about that even. Yeah. But I have to go to Poland in order to get visa. And how am I going to go to Poland? Poland doesn't issue visas.
Yeah, they'll classify you as a drone.
That's unreal.
Yeah. Okay, so the last item, Ukrainian man arrested in Italy over Nord Stream pipeline blasts.
No, we talked about this a little bit.
Yeah, it was like, you know, when they blew up, like the Russians blew it up. I'm like, first of all, why did the Russians blow up their own pipeline? And then everybody thought it was American. I'm sure it was silly. But all the fingerprints point to, and even they're saying basically Zaluzny, I forget, Zaluzny, I think his name is. He basically ordered, he was head of Ukrainian intelligence. There's a big rift between him and Zelensky. And all the links were pointing back to him. But I'm sure the CIA was in on this too, because even Biden's like, that thing's going on.
Cool. We don't have data to support this. So
we don't have data to support that the Americans were in it. But, you know, I'm not saying that the Americans are in it, but the Americans were in it. Okay, listen, Americans are behind all this garbage. You know, not the American people, but the CIA. It's like the CIA has been proven between like 1945 and like 1988 to like have participated in overthrowing like 53 governments. So, you know, I've talked about before, in 2024 and 2014, did the American government go in and directly overthrow the Ukrainian government? No, but once it started, you can be guaranteed they were in there pushing the fire. There's no doubt about that because the Americans can't resist. If there's a coup in some situation in their life, they're there.
Because why not? Russians will do the same.
Saying the Americans are there. So yeah, but the Ukrainians are there, but it's like, when Russia did it, was an act of war. But when Ukrainians did it, it's like, no, oops. Again, double standards.
Yeah, it's actually a criminal case. It's German.
Germany's mad. Germany's mad. Germany's like, you're going to have to just...
Property of Germany, and they basically blew their property, and Germany is sitting like...
German economy is like really still in a lot of trouble for having to build that gas terminal. And, you know, they really took a massive hit for that. Because even if they wanted to get off Russian gas, they wanted some time to get off of it.
Yeah.
But just what really, again, pisses me off is a double standard. When had anybody else done this, this could have been classified as an act of war.
Or terrorism.
Or at least terrorism, depending on who did it. If it wasn't a state actor, it's terrorism.
Yeah.
But a state actor can be classified as war. But now that it's, you know, pretty much proven to Ukrainians, they're like, what are you going to do? Pipeline, schmipeline. You know, it's just, I'm so sick of these double standards. Again, even if you don't support the Russian incursion into Ukraine, the Iraq war. I'm not saying one justifies the other. I'm just saying that people didn't give a crap about one.
It's uncomparable things. It's different political things. Like the reasons why the U.S. invaded Iraq are not the same reasons why Russia invaded.
Yeah, but the reasons don't have to be the same. The point is, if the people who are so upset about the Russian one most of them were cool with because when Americans do it, it's okay.
I don't think they are okay also with that too. Because when I was debating with people about this, they say, yeah, one is not one bad, doesn't.
They say that now, but if you go back, and I have the memory to remember when it happened, there were protests and things, but in general, people were behind that action. The majority of people were behind that. There were the protests, yeah. The protests generally ended up being a feel-good moment, though, because they even re-elected Bush.
In the beginning, because, there was rally around the flag, because they say that they are developing these nuclear weapons there, and it was because of 9/11, which makes sense so much.
It wasn't connected whatsoever.
It was connected.
Not to Iraq. That was Afghanistan. And even then, it wasn't, Afghanistan was not behind it. Osama bin Laden was, and he was not Afghanistan.
Yeah, but
Iraq had nothing to do with it.
But how they explain to people, that's the point.
I know, but it doesn't matter. The point is that people were backing it. Yes, yes, a large number of people. But the majority of the people still supported it, so much so that they re-elected Bush.
That's what I'm saying, because at that time, there was this moment when there's like terrorism rising and people were scared, that they explained to them that, we have an attack on our country, and then this guy is developing nuclear weapons, and it's a threat to the United States. So we are invading.
Okay, and Russia's viewpoint is that NATO is a threat to...
Yeah, that's also how they explained similar. Just the United States didn't grab these territories. They didn't take anything from Iraq.
They just occupied them for over a decade.
Occupied and left.
I don't see a difference. They still invaded, killed 1 million people. 1 million civilians.
Not a million,
the low estimates are 500,000. Those are the low estimates.
Yeah, it's including people who suffered as a result of war.
But still, the low estimates are 500,000.
Is that?
Those are very conservative estimates, which still makes Ukraine look like...
No, we don't know actually what's the result will be of this war.
It's not 500,000.
It's continuing, it's going to continue, and numbers are increasing too. Just our guys who die on front lines, the number is insane.
And then there's also Gaza. People are like, what are you going to do? I'm just saying that there's very selective outrage, and it's disheartening to me that it's so politicized that people are programmed and they're outraged about one thing but not another, because it has to do with who's doing it.
Yeah, that's for me too, actually.
That's my whole
It's
point.
annoying because you excuse what Israel is doing, but you're shouting at Russia. Come on, both of them are doing bad stuff.
But
no excuse.
But the bombs have an American flag on them, so they don't count.
Oh, but they are fighting terrorists. Our Russians are not fighting terrorists. They're fighting free democratic nation. What? That's the difference. And on this note, I'm gonna finish our talk today. Let's stop.
Okay. I just want to finish with, Kayas, you suck.
Leave the woman alone. They have bigger problems right now, actually. Unfortunately, we don't have anything good to end up with today, because these events during this week were actually awful. They were awful.
Yep. Okay.
What do you want to say? We should say something about next week, or when we're going to meet next
Let's
time.
hope the world doesn't end by next week.
Let's hope the world doesn't end next week, and we're going to see you next week. And let us know if you have any questions. We are here in St. Petersburg, Russia. We live in Russia, and we witness everything with our eyes.
Yep. We're paid by the Kremlin.
Of course, you see.
Yep. And we're quickly Natoshka.
City walk.
Well, let's see you next time, and let's just hope for peace. We all want peace. I mean, I comment on the Ukraine situation, but I try and do it from a generally neutral situation, just report what's happening rather than, And if you have questions, pop them in the comments, and we'll
see you next week.